Brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Mike Green. I'm one of the owners of 1A Auto. I want to help you save time and money repairing and maintaining your vehicle. I'm going to use my 20 plus years experience restoring and repairing cars and trucks like this to show you the correct way to install parts from 1AAuto.com. The right parts installed correctly. That's going to save you time and money. Thank you and enjoy the video.
In this video, we're going to show you how to do a front brake job on this 2000 Lincoln Town Car. We actually found that the brakes on this car were in okay shape, so we just show you how to take them apart and put them back on. Tools you'll need are a 1/2 inch, 13/16, 19mm sockets with ratchet and extension. You may want a breaker bar or a piece of pipe if you need some extra leverage on some of the larger bolts, large C-clamp, a torque wrench, and a wire brush, and the sizes may vary per vehicle. Okay, you're going to start out, remove your center cap. Okay, if you're using hand tools, you'll want to loosen your lug nuts while the wheel's on the ground first, then raise the car with the jack, secure it with a jack stand, and then remove your lug nuts. I have the benefit of air tools. These are 13/16 lug nuts. And here I'll just fast forward removing those lug nuts and then removing the wheel and tire. Either by using this method or turning the steering wheel, you want to turn it so you can get easier access to the back of the brake caliper. Okay, next you want to check the condition of the brakes. This actually looks like it's got fairly new rotors on it. You take your hand, your fingernail, run it kind of backside against the rotor and just feel for any deep gouges or grooves or anything. Same thing on the back side. Run your fingernail, feel for any gouges or grooves. Looks pretty new, like I said. Even the pads on this vehicle look like they're in pretty good shape. This is the pad right next to the rotor. Has some good life on the outside. And then the one on here, you can see, okay, see the rotor as I turn it, and the pad's right next to it. Has some good life on the inside. You do want to check both sides. It could be one side's fine, the other side could be worn out more, and you always want to replace brakes in pairs. And when I say check both sides, meaning the driver's side brakes and the passenger side brakes, not just the brake pads on both sides of the rotor. You want to make sure that you check both your driver's side front brakes and your passenger side front brakes for wear, and then replace if any of them are a problem. So even though it looks like these are pretty good, I'm just going to take them apart and put them back together to show you how to do it. To remove your caliper, you're going to want to undo 2 bolts, one here and then one up here. Okay, these bolts are 1/2 inch in size. I'm going to use air wrench. They should come off pretty easily. They shouldn't be that tight. Can't get my air ratchet on. I can't get my impact wrench on the top, so I use a hand wrench. Now what you want to do is pull the caliper towards you some, and then it comes right up and off. Okay. Stuff it right up into here. So it's out of the way. Pads, very easily. They just pull right out of their keepers. Okay. In order to get the rotor off, you'll need to remove this bracket. To remove the bracket, you'll need to remove 2 large bolts. One here, and then one up here. These bolts are 18mm. You'll either want a breaker bar, or if you don't have a breaker bar, don't have a breaker bar, take your ratchet. Okay, use a piece of pipe. Okay, gets you a little more leverage. And pull easy on the pipe. Don't give it a lot of force. These, and you'll be able to break them loose pretty easy. Get the bolts out, bracket comes off. One thing you'll want to do before you put new pads in, take a wire brush, clean off these stainless steel slides. Okay, now the brake rotor comes right off. Okay, new rotor from One Auto. This car doesn't really need it, but just to show you. The rotor fits right on there. Back to the old rotor. I like to put the rotor on, and I just like to take a lug nut. Now the bracket, you want to make sure that these bolts are sliding in and out easily. Okay, the bolt goes through the steering knuckle, then into the bracket. Okay, now on these bolts, I got my torque wrench set to 90 foot-pounds. Okay, now you're going to take your old inner brake pad, pull your caliper down, put your brake pad in here. So, then take a large C-clamp, and what you're doing is forcing your pistons back into the caliper. Okay, so tighten up the clamp, pistons go all the way back in. And this is obviously especially needed when you're putting new brake pads in, because the brake pads are thicker, and this is how the system adjusts for those thicker brake pads. The pistons come out some. Okay. Now our pads, very easy to install. Just put them into place. Caliper will go right down on them now. You might have to push these bolts in a little bit. Get the caliper down into place. Our 1/2-inch bolts. For these bolts, I'm going to set my torque wrench to 20 foot-pounds. And you're going to say, well, that doesn't seem like a lot. No, it's not. All these bolts do is hold the caliper in place. This big bracket here is what takes all the braking pressure.
Okay, just speed up through torquing that upper bolt on, and then I'm just turning the wheels back and taking that lug nut off. Okay, now we'll keep the pace as I put the wheel back on, start the lug nuts by hand. Then I use my impact wrench to just tighten them preliminarily. Then with the vehicle back on the ground, I use a torque wrench, tighten them to 100 foot-pounds using a star pattern, and then put the center cap back on. Now, very important, you want to pump your brakes a bunch of times before you use your vehicle and reset those pistons in the caliper. You pump your brakes until it gets nice and firm again. We hope this helps you out. Brought to you by www.oneauto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet. Please feel free to call us toll-free 888-844-3393. We're the company that's here for you on the internet and in person.